You're listening to the Here for the Clout podcast. Here are your hosts, Sherrilyn Dale and Cece Suarez. Yeah, baby.
Welcome back, Clout Queens and Kings. We are, I guess, are we saying episode? We're on episode 3 today. Our topic today is canceled for clout or lack. I mean, I'm sure some of these people would rather not have the clout, but we're talking about cancellation, topics of we've got like a successful cancellation, people who don't allow themselves to get canceled, people who should be canceled, all the canceled tea.
Yeah, there's so much, and it's really just been the summer of cancellations. Remember when? Oh, also, follow us on social media. Follow Sherrilyn. Follow me. My new Instagram, because the patriarchy got to me, and by the patriarchy I mean the boss babes. They got to me. However, there's also a submission form in our link tree on social media and down below. My bedazzled mic, for some reason, I had it unplugged and it's not working. So we have his baby brother right now. But anyways, remember when cancellations, like a decade ago, used to be for just the silliest things. This absolute, like, Manny MUA and Laura Lee were canceled one of the many times for like showing a long receipt at Morphe or something like that. Like, remember those days? And now everyone's
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
now everyone's, pedophiles.
Yeah, that's like one of the biggest things. It's like every time somebody has been getting canceled lately, we're like, okay, so you were like waiting for the news of who was in an underage person's DMs. Which is concerning because I don't know. This isn't one of those things where you need to be sensitive about, where it's just like, oh, I need to make sure you know that I'm sensitive and respectful. This is like, what are you doing? Like,
It's not that hard to not
what are you doing?
talk to minors. It's really not that hard. But here we are. It's happened
Here we are.
a good bit. So quick disclaimer, as always, because we're not trying to get canceled, but we will be talking about some serious topics and serious situations. You get it, situations during this episode. However, we do want to make it clear that we're not being disrespectful, or I mean, who are we to say if we are or not? But we're not meaning it that way. If we're being unserious or like joking around about things or like using dark humor, that's just how we deal with stuff. So if you don't like that, I'm concerned on why you're watching. Okay, so I love your jacket. I love that you're like matching me.
Okay, I got so excited because I told Chelsea as soon as she came on the screen that I'm in my Hayley Williams era, and I have a cart full of jumpsuits, like overalls,
Yeah.
mechanic outfits. And when I saw hers, it was just like the validation that I needed to also get it. But I was wearing this jacket and I had taken it off, and I'm like, no, I'm going to put it on because we kind of match now.
Yeah. Do you have... I'm covered in my own hair. Yay, postpartum. Do you have a house you need me to paint? I'll paint your house for you. I love this so much. Did you know that was like a mob, like mafia type of, not code word, but like code phrase? If you said like, yeah, he paints houses, or like, I need a house painted, they would say that if you were trying, like it was like for a hitman. It's like, oh, what's he do? Oh, he paints houses. Like, oh, he's like my hitman. I could be making that up.
Oh, I didn't know that. You like, oh, he's in construction or whatever.
Yes.
Like, back in the day, I think like even on The Sopranos, it's like, I work in construction. And then anytime I hear somebody works in construction, I'm like, you are up to something, aren't you? Same way I judge people when I see them in like Home Depot and they have a cart with cleaners or a shovel or a tote. I make note of like the day and time because I'm like, he could possibly be disposing a body right now.
Well, hopefully you wouldn't be buying all of that at the same time, like at the same Home Depot.
I mean, some people, yeah,
That wouldn't be very smart.
That's why I have a true crime. That's why I have a true crime channel. Like, these people aren't smart, and thank God they're not, so that they can pay.
And hopefully they pay with a card, so that we can track them down.
You know, with the housekeeping and everything, just thank everybody for the feedback. Now we don't have to pretend that you guys are loving it. We know that you guys love it, and we appreciate it so much. Chelsea and I were literally in tears after the first episode. I think we were on such a high, just like texting back and forth, reading your guys' comments to each other, just dying laughing. It means so much to us. So thank you for being here from the beginning. I mean, we have so much planned. We have so many ideas. I think one of the main reasons we both were attracted to doing this podcast together is because we have the same work mentality and same humor and twistedness and all that. So that also helped. We're just so dedicated to making this work, not only for ourselves, but for you guys too. So we love that you love it. I think I love that this was your first comment that you put in our thing. One of our favorite comments was on the last one, the catfish episode, was Kate said, I was catfished by y'all's green screen. And I loved that because there were so many people that were like, are you guys in the same room? What are you doing? We're not. Okay. I'm in Canada. She is in the United States of America, and this is her doing. She magicians us to make it look so nice and clean, inspired obviously by our girls over at Do We Know Them Too. So it's all Chelsea. So we're not in the same room, and sorry for catfishing you, but that comment made our day.
Well, and a few of them were like, oh no, like they said that they filmed all this in June. So, you know, like Chelsea went up to Canada in June and like they filmed everything together. Like they are in the same room. I was like, yeah, totally. We did that. That's exactly what's happening here. Yeah.
I wish you were in Canada.
But believe
I wish
me,
you came up here.
With what's happening down here, I do too. Can y'all get abortions up there? Do you have the right to your own uterus? Well, that makes one of us.
We do. Yeah.
Dear God. Thanks, Rick. Remember that one day I asked you if you were gay? I was like, hey, you gay? Hey, you a little bit queer? That was my favorite text.
And then my response was like, I don't really know how to put it. Like, I think like I would be in a relationship with any sex, however you identify. I've been known to, you know, dabble with the women. And you're like, yeah, that sounds gay to me.
My response was, well, queer enough for me. So you listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta be a little queer feral mommy. One of my other favorite ones that we got, so like there were so many that saying like, oh, you're in the same room, I don't know if you are, like, is there a green screen, blah blah blah. There was one that I read to Sherrilyn last week when we had a meeting, and it said, you guys are extremely arrogant and talk down to the viewer. No way this podcast will be successful if this is how you present yourselves. And of course I responded back and said, no one is talking down to you, queen. It's not that serious. Because, like, it's not. First of all, who's talking to you at all?
I was confused. I'm like, yeah, who was talking? Yeah, what did we do to talk down? But yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's the vibe. It was funny because we said that on the first episode. I am not as used to getting, you know, I get the, you know, feedback or whatever. And there's some that I take very seriously. And, you know, some personally, some hurts my heart, whatever. I'm not good. I don't like people saying mean things. So I was like, well, are there any mean ones? And Chelsea's like, one kind of. And I was like, are you sure you're going to want to read it to me? Like, am I going to cry? She's like, no, I don't think you're going to cry. And I'm like, well, we're in this together. So it felt better. And then you read it to me and I was like, okay, well, it's not that bad because I don't think we were intending to talk down to anybody. So I didn't take it as personally, but I need coddling.
Speaking of being open to feedback, let's talk about cancellation. So the recipe for a successful cancellation. This is what I have down here. And you can disagree and that's fine. It's okay. But I'm not going to listen and let me know what you think. Being a public figure, because if you're just like Janice from down the street, I mean, and you're like, no one cares. Like you don't have anything to cancel, you know? And like if you aren't big enough, I forgot who said this. I think it was ironically Manny and Laura. I'm pretty sure Manny MUA and Laura Lee, like OG, I guess they'd be considered OG, like beauty gurus. Now they both do more so like lifestyle and been involved in multiple cancellations.
Laura Lee's the first like apology video that I saw where it was like the face and then that just became a meme for years.
So bad, like so bad. Lord. They have said before there's like a threshold. Like if you have to be like a certain size of
influence, I guess of influence, like your audience, like a certain number, right? So, I think like if you're in between like the 100, like the 50,000 to like 100,000 subscriber mark, like you don't get hit as much. But, once you get into, 500, a million plus, you've got you definitely have more eyes on you, more people scrutinizing everything you do, pouring through your old stuff, going through everything. And
another key thing
yeah.
there is that you have to have it to where your own audience turns on you, because there are so many people that they continue to be successful. And I mean, look at Michaela Noguera, and we're going to go over like other examples of people too, but Michaela Noguera, like she's had so many controversies and lies and filters and all that bullshit, but her own audience has not canceled her. And with TikTok and short form content, and we've talked about this before, but with short form content, people are less invested, sort of like, so to speak, in, your morals, your ethics, you personally, whatever. And so I don't want to say like they don't like take it seriously, but like it's easier, I think at least, to like not be canceled on TikTok, because your own audience isn't actually as invested in you and your content and your career, opposed to someone like us on YouTube.
I would agree with that too. And it's the algorithm too with TikTok plays such, I think, a big part as well, because it's easier for you to keep pumping out content, and the algorithm pushes you to new audiences constantly. So even if you're having those people who were loyal earlier on and have fallen off, you're kind of replacing them. And especially somebody like, again, like not to pick on Michaela or whatever.
No, let's do it. Let's pick on her.
But of her size, they of course they're like, oh well, like how many millions of people did you have? We're just going to keep putting her in everybody's face. So it's almost like some filter out, and then you get some that are trickling back in. So that actually is a really good point. And not to shit on, some, and make this like between like TikTok and YouTube, but I've made my opinions very known. It's more so in the true crime space of TikTok. I think you see way more people cross the lines that are unethical on TikTok. And maybe, again, like you're saying, it's because of the short form content. So you're kind of needing to get those meat and potatoes, if you will. I don't even like using that, but they're getting that information out faster. And it's usually not sensitive to the victim or their families or anything like that. But that being said, with your audience also on TikTok, because so many people are getting filtered in, 500,000 followers on TikTok is nothing comparable to YouTube. It takes like so much more of a work on YouTube and gaining your audience's trust, which I take so, like not personally, like I what's the word I'm looking for?
Value?
Like it means a lot to me. Yes, I value it so much because I know how hard it is to get there, and every single person that follows me, I'm like, I know how hard it is to click that subscribe button and tune in every week. Whereas TikTok, you're kind of just scrolling. So that is an amazing point that you made. I never really thought about it like that with TikTok being harder to get canceled on, because you're just like, they're just like, keep looking at this person.
Making really good points. My God. To be someone of a certain level of influence, you have to have something to lose, basically, and not saying, smaller creators don't have something to lose. I mean, I'm at what, 100, my thing's not plugged in, so I don't know, my like little subscriber counter thing. I think like 144, 141, I don't know. And somewhere in 140,000 subscribers. And what are you at?
I think like 215 around there.
Good job. But yeah, I mean, like
Yeah, I think so.
like absolutely, we could get canceled, but also like we're not shitty people.
We haven't been in underage people's DMs.
We don't talk to minors. I mean, unless I'm related to you, I'm not talking to you if you're a minor.
Jesse and Lily have said that too. They're like, first of all, the one thing is like, why is this happening to so many people? She's like I have nothing to talk to you about. Like when I'm with younger people, I feel old.
Listen, I'm about to sound like a crotchety millennial bitch. I don't want to talk to a middle schooler or a high schooler. I I hardly want to talk to someone in their early 20s. I hardly want to talk to anybody. What are y'all doing? There's also the situation needs to gain traction. And that obviously, you know, kind of goes along with the being someone of a certain level of influence. Media, mainstream or independent, meaning like commentary creators and stuff like that, picking up the story. So like people talking about it. And then the last thing, and I'd say the most important thing, is allowing yourself to be canceled, or rather accepting the cancellation, because there are people who absolutely will not be canceled. As hard as the public has tried, they will not. Now, one cancellation that wasn't even really a cancellation, like she canceled herself basically, is Jenna Marbles. And that's one that a lot of people talk about. Like I said, it's a perfect example of canceling yourself. And she reflected on her content. I had some people be like, oh, I don't know who you're talking about. Like, I need you to explain. So most of y'all know who Jenna Marbles is, I'm sure, but just in case. So Jenna Marbles, old school YouTuber, like from probably definitely
Literally I would say one of the first. Like she
like had been on YouTube as long as Trisha paid us, and you know, was making just funny videos, you know, more like comedy videos. And also had a podcast with her now husband. I don't know if do they still do the podcast. I don't know if they still do.
I don't know either. I'd have to look into it. We'll put it in the notes if, or you know, on the screen here, if yes they do or no they don't. I feel like he's more like taken the reins, but I could also just be talking out of my asshole right now. So we'll put
we do
facts
be
in
making up information. She reflected on her catalog of content, or her content catalog, if you will, and took accountability and apologized, and then removed herself from the internet before even the like scent of her being canceled by the public was like even, or at least that's how I saw it. You know, I always want to say with Jenna Marbles, and actually Lily and Jesse made a really great point. Actually, Tana Mojo said it as well in Canceled Podcast regarding Brooke Schofield. But with Jenna Marbles, like people can say, oh, I thought it was funny. But it's like, okay, well, just because, you know, you think something is funny. And of course, I don't think that she, you know, was trying to be prejudiced or racist or misogynistic or anything like that. And we can say all day long, like, you know, it was a different time. And sure, yeah, but also a different time for who? It's like, I don't know if you have any boomers who will make jokes, someone being gay is a punchline, and it's like, where's the joke? Like, what is it? It's like, you being, you know, straight isn't a punchline. This is laziness. And so she reflected on that, and I think it was very smart of her to do. I mean, as a woman, I mean, you know, some of her content sure could be seen as misogynistic. I didn't see it as that. I mean, her being a woman herself, who are we to say? Like, some people could say like, oh, well, I'm not offended by this, and you are. So it's like, hey, people are offended by different things, and that's okay. A lot of people always say like, oh, well, you know, I wish she would come back. And it's like, she clearly doesn't want to. She has made enough money. She's enjoying her life. Let this woman enjoy her life.
And I also wondered though if it was around, because my memory serves me correctly, that was around the time that Shane Dawson was really coming under fire, who again was making like the parody content or whatever, and he crossed so many lines. So as all of his old videos were getting dredged up, the only thing that I remember about that time was other creators kind of getting like swooped into that, and maybe somebody said Jenna's name, and then that's why she went through and started to reflect on her own things. But I think that that's important to do either way. I think like everything that she did was like the right thing to do, because for her to think maybe, oh, should I go back and see if I've done anything offensive, and then goes and sees and is like, you know what, don't want to be a part of this anymore, this was wrong, I'm taking it off. And what did she say? Like, I don't think you guys are having fun anymore. I'm not having fun anymore. Like, you know, I just want to, you know, learn, grow, and move on from this, and has never come back. But like you said, she really doesn't need to if she doesn't want to. And
yeah, I mean, I don't want to watch someone who, you know, doesn't like who isn't enjoying themselves when it comes to, you know, the content that they're making. I mean, I know that's something that some people will accuse me of. And it's like, oh, well, now I'm watching her videos and she just seems like tired and bored and like she's just there for the paycheck. And it's like, well, first of all, I absolutely love my job. I would not do it if I didn't love it. Of
You
course
are
I'm tired. I
tired. You
have
have a new baby.
I'm fair. Well, a year old, but yeah. But then also it's like, I don't know. I just think it's interesting to like, I've never been like coming on the camera and yelling at you, you know, like I've always been, I don't want to say more blah, because that's not how I am, but I don't know. I just find that interesting too, because it's like, I don't want to watch someone who doesn't seem like they're enjoying, you know, their content and, you know, putting content out. But then also it's like, is that just their personality? like it's like, yeah, you know, and I don't know. It's just interesting. I can't think of anyone else that, you know, that happened with, because other people who were gonna
No, let us know in the comments.
Yes, you're here too. You're here.
Yeah,
Tell
you guys are here
us.
too. Let us know who you can think of and that we've missed. But let's go into people who refuse to get canceled no matter what.
Now, obviously, Michaela Noguera, but the one who really, y'all probably already know who I'm going to say, but Jafar Stank.
I know now that that's not his government name, like Richard Luxury.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I checked the records. Jeffree Star, which...
Okay, wait, is it?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask, is what is Jeffree Star's government name? I'm sure it's on like Wikipedia.
Do you know what is
him?
his... Oh, okay.
I don't know him like that. No. So
okay.
So yeah, so it seems like Jeffree Star gets called out, canceled a few times a year, or will leech himself onto like a little hemorrhoid. By little I mean giant. Like the kind that you like have to sit on one butt cheek. Like you can't actually sit down. He makes me want to get in a hot bath. So he will like leech himself onto other people's cancellations. Like it's so like he's leading the mob, like through the mist, through the woods, through the darkness and the shadows, you know?
Yes.
That's the mob song from Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorites.
Oh yes, so good.
I sing that during bath time. It's great. I'm really putting on a show for this kid. Jeffree Star, you know, was a huge YouTuber, and I don't know if I haven't really like kept up with him like that. Like, I don't know if he's still posting much on YouTube, but I do know that he has been doing TikTok live battles, which we need to do a...
I don't get it. I
Girl,
don't effing get the battle.
We have to do a mini-sode. Okay, so we actually have been, I don't know why we're doing this to ourselves, but because we love you and each other, and we also can't shut up. But we were just talking, and Sherrilyn was like, oh, I have like something else for us to like talk about, so if you want to like film another time this week. And I'm like, okay. But it's a topic where like the episode would be like a lot shorter, obviously, so it'd be like a little mini-sode. Also, you don't have a choice. I don't need your consent to be on your screen. I'm here, okay? However, God, now I am talking down to them. I'm sorry. So I really want to talk about forking live streams, the TikTok lives, because I was on it the other night and I was screen recording. Like I have like probably like 6 or 7 screen recordings, because I was just like, I started dying.
Me too.
Girl,
I do this all the time.
I started dying laughing.
I can't get out.
Girl, I've fallen and I can't get up. And I screenshotted a bunch, or screen recorded a bunch of them, because I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, we need to talk about these men that are in a jungle, these 5 men that are in a jungle, and they're just all standing there or like sitting there. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then there's these families of like, they're in like it looks like an underground yurt or something. I don't know what country they're in. It kind of looks like they're in a cave. And it's these little...
Oh, is that the one where they just record the kids sleeping?
Oh my God, yes. There's multiple. There's multiple of them.
Okay, I don't know what's going on either. Yeah, there's a bunch of them and they're just sleeping. And I'm like, this seems like a safety, like not a safety concern, but just like icky. Like, why are we watching these little children
there's so
sleep?
many examples of like, I shouldn't be seeing this. So with Jeffree Star, he has really made that transition over to not only just TikTok content and the TikTok lives, but with TikTok, the audience base when it comes to, or really like the demographic when it comes to having like makeup content like he does, it really is a younger audience. And so that type of audience isn't gonna take seriously his crazy allegations or what he's been canceled for before, or his, racist behavior still allegedly going on behind the scenes.
Same with Perez Hilton, I feel. I feel like Perez Hilton, because now he's also gone onto the TikTok side of things. When you look back at Perez Hilton, the things that we were looking at and the scribbling on the face and just like how awful it was, like you're saying, like that was a time where like there was like, like the canceling for nothing and just straight up bullying and making fun of people.
That was even before. Like that was a whole era before even like influencers. Well, and they convinced us that Jessica Simpson, this picture of her on stage, they convinced us that is fat, that she was like obese. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Wild.
Awful time. Awful time. Like there was so much pressure, and he was like the site to go to for all of that, Not saying that he was the only one, but now once we grew up and we're like started taking stands for how about we don't put this pressure on women's bodies and whatever.
Yeah. So people who were canceled, but then were trying to like come back or trying to pivot, and they pivoted unsuccessfully, and now it's very uncomfortable to watch. Def Noodles. Do you know who that is? Were you there for that?
I was not there for this. So I'm really excited because I know you've mentioned before. I've also heard it from the girlies over on Do We Know Them or the Do We Know Them fan club, you guys. Also, did you see my comment about trying to invite ourselves to Lily and Jesse's concert, going to Georgia for the Sabrina Carpenter concert? I think we should invite ourselves. So anyways, put that out there.
I texted both of them, not about that specifically, but when they were going to do Disney World, I was like, I'm going to drive over. Like, I'm inviting myself. But yes. Yeah. No, yes.
I really would like to do that. Okay, anyway, so they touched on it briefly. So please, for the audience who also does not know, recap us with Def Noodles, please.
Def Noodles, aka FKA Dennis, was arguably a very successful commentary news type YouTube channel who he had a green screen. He wore like these little glasses. He had very like 2006 high schooler like hair, like baby faced, had like headphones on that had like cat ears, but usually wear like a brightly colored shirt. And he would just give you like a recap of like things that had happened like in the news or on the internet. People said like, yeah, it was like every morning I would watch it, and his video did so well. Like after he gained some popularity, he did so well. Well, then he took off the mask, so to speak, ruined his own career. So he came on one time and he was like, this is a character I'm playing, this isn't really me. Like I'm actually like a professionally trained comedian. And it's like, are you? Is the comedian in the room with us? Because no, he's not. Because I have not laughed at anything you've ever said. This actually came after it had come out that he was actually like 15, not 15, but like 10 years older ish. I could be wrong. I probably am, but like significantly older. Like he was cosplaying as like a 23-year-old, and he's like 34 or something like that. So like it's real weird. He also tried to do the comedy. He got loans to buy this office space. It used to be a record store from what I saw. He started renting it out, had like his office in the back, and then he made it into a comedy club, and that flopped. And because he's not funny, then he was hosting.
Was he trying to like headline every night? Like he wasn't bringing other comedians in, it was just about him?
No, he was, because I mean, you can't make money by just doing that. So he would do like open mic nights and roast battles. People would like pay for tickets to come in, but then also he would do like the comedians or whoever that he would have there would also, I guess, pay to like be involved. I don't know. He, was serving liquor without a liquor license, without anything like that. Construction and like work that he had done on the place looked so not up to code and janky. Like I would not want to sit in there. He just could not accept that he is not funny. It was so bad. It was so bad. He kept then posting onto YouTube, and he got banned from Twitch for taking poppers on stream. And then also he got banned again for like showing, he I guess like hired a stripper or something to come in and like do a dance or something on his co-host, and he had like the camera on, like live streaming like on his co-host, and the lady like took off her, like showed her titties like on Twitch or something. So he got banned for that too, I believe. Like would not admit fault and still doesn't understand why no one thinks he's funny, because he's like one of the most unfunny people ever. It's crazy. He would also lie about like who was gonna be like doing a set. He tried to say that Crystalia was gonna go and like be at, like there and do a set, and it's like no he's not. And I looked at first, well, like
To sell tickets and then no one was there?
Dennis was there. Yeah, and then like his friend that like kind of looks vaguely like Crystalia. And he also like apparently wasn't paying his employees. His videos used to get like hundreds of thousands, like so many views per video, and he then got down to like under 1,000 views per video. Like it happened so fast, it was crazy. But like people wanted like the recap, they wanted like the recap and the news, and you know the hot button stories, and they didn't want your shitty comedy because it's not funny.
And he's just like, I'm not gonna listen to the odd, like not like he just he wouldn't, he didn't want to go back to it. He just really wanted people to think he was funny.
Yeah, and I guess like, hey, I get it. You know, if you're burnt out from doing that type of content, which I get it, it's very draining to put up a video every single day, but then also like play a character that isn't you, and and like we said before, like doing content that you don't enjoy anymore, like that is draining. That's not good. I mean, I don't blame you, but then you could have had like a better exit plan. You could have, had some self-awareness. So his content, his channels have since been scrubbed of all of his content, and people were like worried about him. They thought that he was gonna hurt himself or something, because he scrubbed all of his accounts, like of everything. And then on his website, or the comedy club website, it says that like the club was closed, which that's understandable because he wasn't having any like income coming in, because he wasn't getting views. So how are you going to pay back these loans? What are you doing? And then Keemstar of the Drama Alert media machine announced a month ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't know how long ago, recently, that Def Noodles is now going to be doing short form content for the like Drama Alert social media.
Interesting. Do you think that pivot was to kind of put him back into like what he was doing before and successful, but then has like a little bit more of like a backing behind him? Or what? I'm just trying to think, like, why would you want to go and work for another network if you could just be like, okay, you know what? The audience isn't liking this. I'm going to listen to the feedback and I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing.
I'm not even going to try to make sense of it, because I don't think he knows what he's doing. So I am not even gonna try to think that I know what he's doing.
Another one is Colleen Ballinger, who I would say also has had her hair share. Why can't I talk? I want to say today is always, it is what it is, but for anybody new here, I don't know how to talk, so apologies.
Why do y'all watch either of our content? Why are you here? Listen, if you come here for facts, you come here for facts or correct grammar or not shitty opinions, I don't know why you watch this. But thank you.
But we appreciate it.
Because we don't want to get real jobs.
Amen to that. Another person who doesn't want to get a real job is Colleen Ballinger, because she has been kicked off the internet, or attempted to, multiple times. So I think when we were talking about this earlier, my first experience with Colleen Ballinger was when she was Miranda Sings, again, back in the day of YouTube. And then I didn't even know about this at the time, but having a daughter who was like, I don't know, maybe like 10 around that time, she came across her content, and I don't know, as you're younger, your maturity level is not as high. I did not see the humor in anything. When she got a Netflix special, Haley had it on once, and I was like, this is trash, honey. Like, this is not funny. Sweetheart, turn it off.
This is garbage.
This is garbage TV. Put Mako Mermaids back on, because I can get on board with that. So that was my first experience with Colleen. I didn't find it funny. I could not understand. And then, so did she get canceled around when did she get canceled and then she was doing the vlog stuff? What was the reason for that cancellation? Was it the same thing, like, about people talking, when she sent underwear to Adam McIntyre?
That's a whole saga in itself. I mean, she has her vlog channel and she has her normal channel. Her normal channel, she hasn't posted on in like a year or two. And then the Colleen Vlogs one, she took like, what, 2 months off, a month off, something, and, you know, got right back to like family vlogging basically. But it is more centered, like, yes, it is centered around her life, her kids, but it's not as like kid centric as the like family, well, that and like as like normal family vloggers. Like, it is more so like she's the main character, like her kids aren't the main
Miranda
character.
sings, like,
Kind of, I don't know. She still sucks and the content sucks and it still is technically family vlogging, but I think that she was still doing it before the cancellation. And if you don't know why she was canceled, it's because she was outed for having inappropriate relationships, inappropriate conversations with a lot of minors, a lot of them. The most messed up part of it, I mean, there's a lot of it, but the most messed up part, in my opinion, is showing pornographic content to not only to minors, but also then, I mean, sending it to anybody is inappropriate because they did not consent to be shown that, but then also sending it to people who are fans of you. And, you know, yes, there are times where, you know, you are more comfortable with, like, as a creator, there are people who have been with you from the beginning, or there are people who, you know, you recognize their username, or like you remember things about them. You know, there's one of my friends that she's a friend now, Alexis, she pregnant at the same time, and we just like really bonded over that. And I love the girl so much. Her son is like one like sizing group like behind my son, and so whenever he outgrows stuff, which this kid's huge, so he do be outgrowing stuff, then the like real cute stuff I'll send to her, because a lot of times I buy the stuff, which is my own fault, but it's so cute and I'm like, well, he only got to wear this like once. It makes me so sad. And then, so, you know, sending it somewhere to someone else, and then she'll like send me pictures and she's like, look at my son in this one, and like, is that one of our favorite hand-me-downs? Yeah, girl, I'm pretty sure I have clothed her son.
But you met
his
her,
entire life so far
through your channel.
But like, yeah,
Yeah,
through social media.
love
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
yeah.
she was a subscriber and a follower, and we just got like real close, and we just like, she just understands like my humor and stuff, and I, not that other people don't, but I don't know, it's just sometimes you click with people. But then to continue and have like a podcast with Trisha Paytas and like act like you're friends with her, and like, that's just so messed up. And then like lying to Trisha about that, like, that's so gross.
She did so many messed up things during a cancellation as well, right? Like, so there was all these problematic things coming out, and then Adam McIntyre, who used to be like very close with Colleen, despite like a very large age gap, like, and him not understanding like the concerning aspects to that, and then, you know, getting older and understanding that there was a lot, so that was getting exposed, and then more things were getting exposed. You know, her ex-husband got run off the internet by her fans and supporters, and a narrative was spun against him that, you know, he got canceled. Everyone was getting canceled, and she was kind of sticking around. Again, just wouldn't like stop. And then, as this latest one, when Adam was speaking up more, because he tried to several years before, he already did, and got bullied so bad no one believed him, which is terrible, and then pulled himself together, and then had, you know, was ready to share like even more receipts and talk about it again. That time it stuck, and he was heard, and everybody started listening, going through the messages, and more people started coming forward. And then her response, and I think it's because, like a Jeffree Star, she had been attempted to be canceled so many times, but she would just keep, you know, just keep showing up and just keep trucking on, that her response, thinking like, oh, I'm not really going to take this seriously, was to do the ukulele song, the toxic gossip train. Like,
Girl, her eyes in that video, so dead. Just dead,
right?
soulless eyes.
Yes, that was concerning, and so just oh my god, I can't think of anything just, like, more insensitive and disturbing, like, that was so messed up for being accused of the things that you were being accused for and to get in front of your camera, and, like, that took effort. It's not like she went on a live and just, like Shane Dawson did and just had a freaking manic episode on live. She wrote the fucking song, she recorded it, she edited it, and then put it on YouTube.
Girl,
There were so many
it
steps that were taken there to show that you did not give an F and then tried to backpedal it anyways. Ugh, she drives me crazy. So she is still I've blocked I don't want to see her face anywhere on my shit. So is she still
So yeah, so
posting?
as of I mean, like I said, she took some time off, but it seems like she has, I say tried, but not even tried. She has returned to doing vlogs, and her videos are getting around, her videos are getting around 50,000 or 55,000 on average per video. But like, girl, before all of this, her videos used to get like an average of 250,000. And her apology video has 18 million views. Is that thing monetized?
And she ended up turning down I was going to say I thought she took off the monetization, and then she also had to do something through the rights of the song because then she was trying to copy strike and get money off anybody who was talking about the song.
That's iconic. That is iconic right there.
So what are our views on her? I guess she's still trying to I like this news clip that you had. Colleen Ballinger attempts comeback months after scandal. The attempts, like the low shade.
She
You're
sucks.
attempting.
I mean, I don't like her. I don't think I've ever liked her. Like, I tried to watch the Miranda Sings. I always felt a little bit crazy because like seeing it, I'm like, so she's just making fun of people with cognitive disabilities. You're just making fun of a disabled person, and then you're making jokes about incest. What?
I'm getting heated. Who are we talking about next?
Next, we are talking about people who haven't really been canceled. David Dobrik. David was a Viner, and if he is talking, he is laughing. He laugh talks constantly. And he then, after Vine died, was on Vine and then went over to YouTube when that died and would do like super short form content. And with these videos that were like less than 5 minutes long, he would, have all of his friends in them and really just exploited and did not pay his friends. But then there were allegations that came out against, I guess, multiple people in his group, the Vlog Squad. And it was like sexual abuse and sexual assault claims. And then also like him not paying people, being exploitative and like lying to people and like, stuff like that, doing a whole bunch of stuff without consent. He, had the whole situation where basically, attempted vehicular manslaughter against his best friend, or one of his best friends at the time, Jeff Wittick, who he, for a video, got on an excavator, which is a huge piece of machinery, and swung him around. Like, an excavator is what holds a wrecking ball. So got in that, swung his friend around, and he swung him around so fast that Jeff smacked into the side of it. And his, like, part of his eye socket was like completely crushed. Like, he's partially blind, almost died. He was really not taking accountability for it. He was trying to allegedly, all this is alleged, he's trying to silence Jeff and gaslight him and a bunch of other shady stuff behind the scenes, allegedly. And he then made a video saying that he wants his vlogs to be a safe place for him and his friends and his viewers, and that he's, gonna take some time to reflect, but he's not gonna stop vlogging. Well, then he stopped vlogging. He got like a deal with Snapchat, and Snapchat pays crazy well. Honestly, they are like Spotify. I don't know how they have money. How are they making a profit? It makes no sense to me. They're probably not. Also, hi, please give us money, Spotify. What he did is he, got so much money over there. Like, not only, I assume, they, signed him, gave him like a signing bonus, all that to possibly have like exclusive content over there. Like maybe that's why he wasn't posting anywhere else. But also it has, you know, been alleged by other creators who know him very well that he has equity in so many companies that, you know, he's set for life. He doesn't ever have to make content again. So he's just literally living like his great Gatsby life, and was canceled but wasn't, and like it hasn't like it really has not affected his life.
And his stuff always confused me too, because I saw in an interview somewhere like what uh, from what it looked like, what he was able to do was get really popular on YouTube and then like venture out. So then he was like on talk shows, like he became, you know, like a celeb, right? What I had learned was the videos that he had on YouTube they were monetized, but they were ineligible because I guess his opening song or clip or whatever was copyright, because it was almost like an Epidemic Sound thing and he just never bought the rights. So that's what he said in this interview, that there was no, like, he's like, oh, we're not even making money off YouTube. Whether, I mean, we don't know unless he was ever to show receipts that there was never money put in. But it's interesting because, like you said, like exploiting the friends, they're just known on his channel as part of his, but in the same sense he's also building a name for himself. So he was able to do those things, you know, like get a different platform, start getting money, like doing deals outside of YouTube, and set himself up. So whether he was making money or not on it, like exploiting his friends but not setting them up the same way after, so that they could not be on TikTok live every day.
So this category, the next one, is conditions of the cancellation worked in their benefit. If y'all don't know who Dr. Disrespect is, he's a very successful streamer. He had just signed an exclusive deal for Twitch, and got banned from the platform days or weeks later, like almost immediately. Twitch paid him out because like they broke the contract, not him. He then transitioned to streaming on YouTube, which fine, whatever. The entire situation was so strange because I remember like when it first happened, people were like, yeah, they won't tell him like why he got, like they won't say why he got banned. Literally no one knew. And this was like 3 or 4 years ago, I think. Again, I could be making information up completely, but it's fine. I'm not going to check. We'll check afterwards. And by we'll check afterwards, I mean Sherrilyn is going to check afterwards and put it on our beautiful TV. Came out that there was actually a lawsuit between him and Twitch. I assume that there was like a gag order, and that's why, you know, no, the public didn't know. He had engaged in inappropriate leaning conversations, like not like, from what I know, again, could be completely wrong, I have not seen them, but from the multiple like news sources and whatever that I have watched and people talking about it, like that's what I've seen. Could be wrong, I don't know.
We are not journalists.
Contrary to popular belief, I'm not Katie Joy. I am not Catherine Joy Paulson. I do have a crystal ball, and I am not without one. They had a lawsuit, and he was engaging in inappropriate leaning conversations. It wasn't just apparently wasn't outright just like, hey, show me them titties. You know how they do. That was, I guess, with like a Twitch employee or like Twitch associated person, or he was doing that through Twitch's like system or something like that. Who knows, not me. And they were a minor at the time that he was talking to them. And so due to, again, this happened like 3 to 4 years ago, but I think, in my opinion, that no one asked for, due to the time that has passed, like the situation was internet years, a billion years ago, the situation like already being resolved, like with, you know, legally, right? And like lawsuit being concluded and all that, Cody Ko's cancellation of like evolving and new information coming out at the exact same time. I think that like not only did his cancellation not get as much, like it got coverage because I mean, he is a huge creator, but I don't think it was like as bad as Cody's or someone else's because of those specific like conditions surrounding it. It would have been worse if like there wasn't the lawsuit, or like if that wasn't concluded and people found out about it. Yeah, right. So it's like the time has passed, it's already concluded. Now we're finding out about it, you know? And he did step back from making content a month ago. His last video was posted a month ago. He does have 4.6 million subscribers on YouTube. There's so many huge creators that I have never even heard of. That's really one that like the cancellation, like the conditions of it are in their favor. But that was like the only one I could think of when it comes to that. Can you think of anyone else?
Where they just kind of like scoot. I would say around that era with like Shane, there were, I think even Colleen around that time, actually, like one of her the first attempt was around that time where it didn't pick up enough steam. And then it was Adam just being like, no, screw you. Like, I'm trying this again because other stories kind of like overshadowed it. But then in the end ended up getting canceled. So I guess we'll see. Like, this is one thing too. Once you're canceled, I feel like you said, like there's certain conditions. There's also the way that you take it. And then you have to be aware that you'll forever go through those cycles of being recanceled, right? Like, because that is never, it doesn't go away, whether it's people who just don't want anybody to forget and just is constantly reminding everybody about what happened, or new audience members are coming in and then finding out the information. Like Tana even addressed that on the opening episode of the latest podcast, like of the latest canceled episode, where she said, you know, this will forever follow, like Brooke's cancellation is forever going to follow her. These are going to resurface all the time, and you have to be ready to talk about it at any point and re-apologize. If you're serious and are sorry, then you have to be comfortable and okay with talking about it all the time. Which I didn't like about Colleen, because it was like, yeah, okay, she's like, oh, I had addressed some of this before. We've already talked about this before. And it was like, did you really? Because there was never really any acknowledgement. And then she comes out with the toxic gossip train. And it's like, I don't know what the fuck you thought you were doing right there.
That's on the topic of recent cancellations, you know, Brooke, and then with Mr. Beast, that's happening right now too, but that's ever evolving and way more information is coming out. So I don't even want to get into that, but it's crazy. Talk about a facade. Wild. And then also Cody Ko. I mean, I've talked about that at length on my channel too. I'm pretty sure I've made like 4 videos on it. You know, that's something too, is like, what do we want? You know, yes, like you said, when new people come in, like I've had a few things happen where I have a love-hate relationship with Reddit. I had to delete it off my phone. Someone will say something about me or like share one of my videos, and another person will be like, oh, I loved her until, you know, I saw that, you know, that it came out that like she's a Trump supporter. And I'm not telling you who to vote for. I will never do that. But like, I'm not. And then people will be like, oh, I have proof. And it's like, do you go to the library down the street and vote early with me? Because no, you don't. You're not in the voting booth with me. And I've never voted for that man. Like, what the fuck are you talking? It's crazy. Yes, it is annoying as a public figure or semi-public figure, whatever, to have to bring something, like bring it up again, or, you know, correct someone, or be like, hey, actually, that's not true. You know, that is not me, whatever. Just apologizing. Yes, I agree. And for new people coming in, and yeah, there are those annoying people who will like keep bringing it up, but also like, that's obviously different than like you blatantly saying like, oh, all lives matter. And it's like, yeah, fucker, we're not talking about all of them. We're talking about these specific ones, dummy. Crazy. Oh my God. I fucking hate that shit. So yeah, so that's obviously different, but I do. I think that for, you know, newer people, or, you know, you do shitty things and hurt a demographic of people who, you know, have gotten you to where you are and are the reason why you are successful, then absolutely, yes. And if someone isn't going to, like, it's out of your control whether people accept your apology or don't. But I think acknowledging what you did wrong, educating yourself, and, you know, taking accountability, and also obviously apologizing without excuse, like trying to excuse things, but maybe also like explain maybe too. But I mean, it sucks to say, you know, hey, I was wrong. I'm an idiot. That sucks. That's not who I am. And I'm very sorry. Not if my words hurt you. I am sorry for my actions and for my words. It's very simple to say that. Very easy as a public figure. Fucking crazy that like more people can't just do that. If someone has learned and changed, like what do we want, you know, like that's a big part of this conversation too, because I mean, how, like, are we going to, and it's fine if you don't want to like accept the apology, but if like that's not who they were before, like especially as we get older, like the shitty things we've said as teens or young adults, whatever, and then like you get life experience, you get around other people, you learn more things, and you know, you go forward, and you're not, I know sure as fork I am not the person I was when I registered to vote. I'm not the person I was when you know, 8 years ago, 12 years ago. Thank God.
Going back on what you're saying, like, what do we want? Like, what is the expectation? I know this is sensitive right now because it is so new with Brooke. I don't know Brooke, like so I can't say, like I ride for her and, like I've got her back and whatever. Those fucking tweets are awful. Like, I don't agree with anything that she said. That being said, I have watched Brooke, even in this past like year, change into a better version of herself. I think she's talked about having like being diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I as well. So I think I can relate to some of the things that she also does. And I'm not giving that as any fucking excuse whatsoever. I'm not like saying like, oh, it's because she had BPD. No. Like those were vile. I've seen like a maturity of her without even having any of that context behind, right? And not to say that because she's changed now, that should never be addressed. It needed to be addressed. It needs to be shown. And then people who are hurt and offended by it, they have every right not to forgive her if they don't want to. That does not make you a bad person for not wanting to follow. I think kind of going into the next discussion that we want to talk, like what is going too far for somebody that has been canceled. We have to remember at the end of the day, these are real people, and to have a mob of hate when you already hate yourself. I'm assuming if this were to happen to me, I would already hate myself so much and be so low that to just cut everybody off from your life, and expect everybody like, don't fucking talk to her, like don't associate, you know what I mean? Like taking it too far to the point where somebody like wants to, I can't speak for Brooke and say like she wants to like end it all. Like I'm just saying like for me and like having similar diagnoses, we do take those moments like, I don't know, we don't know how to like regulate our emotions as well, like, and it's like to an extreme. I'm so only looking at that. And again, I want to stress, like, in no way am I excusing anything. And I've said it like multiple times. They're vile. It's not okay. That being said, I've already seen a change in her prior to these coming up. So I do believe that people have room to change, like, and grow and mature. But again, it's no one's forced to forgive you. And then she needs to just be aware of that and accept that and allow people to feel those emotions. Granted, she's not on the podcast for right now. Tana says, like she's taking a break. And I think that's good. I don't think that they should have ever just put her on and tried to minimize the situation and be like, oh, we're just gonna not let her get canceled. That's also growth on Tana's part to say, like, we're taking this seriously. She needs time to reflect. I need time to reflect. And I think that they're going about it the right way, because I think that it shows that it's genuine.
Like I know with what Tana was saying, how she was like, yeah, it's she's like, I regret saying, I guess Tana commented on Brooke's TikTok about it and was like, I forgive you. We grew up bad, or like we grew up shitty, and growing up, you are a product of your environment for sure, to a degree. I understand that. I mean, I absolutely, but also, like, yes, I do think she's like clearly grown up since then and like gotten help and all that. And like, yes, we do need to let people have room to grow and accept that, like, yes, people do grow. And also, you don't actually know them. Like, the version of themselves, or the parts of themselves, maybe not versions of, but the parts of themselves that they put, out there to the public. But then also it's not Tana's place to forgive her. Like the apology isn't for her.
And that's another aspect to it also, is that, it's not whether you forgive somebody or not, that's also not your place. And especially in this circumstance where it's like, we're not making room right now for any white person to forgive Brooke. And I also want to make that very clear that that's like, I'm not saying like, oh, I've forgiven her or whatever. I'm just purely talking about from an outsider point of view that I've seen that she's changed. And again, I don't want anybody to forgive if you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, like, don't. That being said, we also just need to take a step back and not like jump right in there and be like, I forgive you. And it's like, fuck's sakes, Tana.
I know a lot of people would be like, oh, well, like Tana said, we grew up bad, which again, yeah, of course. But then also it wasn't that long ago. It was it was 8 years ago. And I think that's also why, like, I can kind of relate to Brooke in this way too, kind of, to where my family's not like hers. Not crazy like that, but primarily very Republican and very conservative. It can cause a lot of maybe like internalized hate is a good way to phrase it, because I think that's why, like, I personally get like ashamed and so annoyed when people and like want to like clarify so bad, and not to obviously make this about me, but that's the only person I can speak for, clearly, because I can't speak for Brooke. But I, just from the perspective of another white woman, that's one reason why I get so frustrated, is because it's like, no, I grew up around all this. Not that crazy, but still, I, ideas and beliefs that do not reflect me. And I always want to make that clear. But then also, I do love my family dearly, and I would be dead without my parents. And not even just like, oh, I wouldn't be alive, but like, no, they saved my life by getting me help. And like, and my sister, no offense to my mom, love you, Linda, but like my sister and brother basically raised me, which is why I am the way I am. But like, I love my family so dearly, and my family, they're not bigoted, they're not, hateful. They might be ignorant to some things, absolutely. And yeah, they are pretty conservative, but that's not like that ain't our household. Okay. That is not us. And so that's why I know, like, I get so frustrated sometimes when I'm like, no, that's not me. Like, yeah, I registered to vote at 18. My dad took me. I registered as a Republican. Like, he basically did it for me. Like, and also I'm just too lazy to go change it. Doesn't mean I have to vote for this specific person, right? And I also, because of like all of that, and I think it is important to understand like where someone comes from, and there's a difference between like excusing and being tolerant of behaviors and stuff like that and minimizing them, but then also taking a second, taking a breath, taking a beat to look a little bit deeper and be like, why? And do you still have these beliefs? Then okay, that's great that you don't. But also, hey, use this opportunity to, like, girl, join the mob, grab the pitchfork, can't cancel your past self. It's just so like volatile and craziness, but like with taking politics out of it completely, like the misogyny, the racism, the homophobia, like you can't even say like, oh, it was like crass things that I was saying that, I was of that age, because that's not what it was. So
Yeah.
I think there's, and again, not to dismiss or excuse or anything like that, because who are we? Two white women with microphones. It's not our apology or anything like
No.
that. But hey,
No.
this is a topic that we're talking about. So I think that, like you were saying, like the mob mentality and piling on, and like it's obviously not helpful. And I think it's important to, like, she gets it. She gets the point.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
clearly fucking gets it. Like from a PR standpoint as well, come out and
Yeah.
on their biggest platform, which would be the Canceled podcast, and
Yeah.
talk about it and have an open conversation. Have that stay up and apologize to the people and minority groups that she has hurt and offended. And with that, though, I do think that it's like out of the realm, I guess, of like, oh, it was cringe humor, or like it was a different time, or I was young. Like, that was 8 years ago. You were an adult.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I would agree. Like, that's what I hope and expect for them, because they have been so open about talking about subjects on the podcast, that if and when she does come back, I am hoping that that is the type of conversation that they have, and I hope it's genuine. I don't think that it's something that needs to be rushed. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think like just have a space, like you said, to leave that up for people, to be able to see and share their thoughts, their feelings. Because that being said, that you also have a right to be heard,
Yeah.
to be heard, and after all, like these are people who have supported you, and even though it's like parasocial, this is the effort that people are putting in to have your back, and it does hurt somebody, like I would we've been hurt by people we look up to within the past like couple weeks, and Brooke being one of them. It's like she doesn't know me from anybody else, so who am I to get hurt by her? But you do get the kind of invested emotionally, and you see somebody. For me personally, I just relate to her because of how open she is with mental health issues, which just happen to be like the same ones that I have and I've dealt with, and that have people don't talk about as much, and you kind of feel ashamed about it. So it's nice to, in that aspect, to be able to relate to her. Then you're just like get fucking crushed because you're like, wow, like that's nasty. That was it. You weren't. I wouldn't have thought that she was like that nasty of a person. That being said, I also didn't follow her all those years ago. I didn't know that she really had like any form of platform a long time ago. You personally, you have your feelings. Every one of them is valid. But what is taking it too, like those feelings, taking it too far in order to, cancel somebody or whatever? So we have a couple things on here. One of them, contacting that person's family. Hey, this being said though, with Brooke's case, her mother is putting herself out there. You are okay to reply back to that woman because she's putting herself out there.
Yeah, but we mean like private people. Like for instance, if like our
Yeah, like
parents.
going and looking, yeah, our parents, yeah. So contacting
Trying
family.
to cancel people who are just associated with with those people who, might be like business associates or something, and not like associated with the reason they are canceled, but associated with the individual themselves. And we've seen that happen a good bit with Cody Ko, or at least that's how I feel about it. Is it really seems like the people who, I guess, like, really guilty by association, or just like they're catching strays. And a lot of times when I feel like when you're not getting the answer or response or, acknowledgement from the actual person themselves who did the thing, then your anger, your frustration, your disappointment, all those emotions can be misguided. Well, not misguided, but misdirected. Those feelings can be misdirected towards someone else. You got to put them somewhere, right? Too far. And any threats of any kind, going after people's
death threats, and
I personally always say don't go after people's sponsors, because then like legally wise, like then that person could come after you and prove that you are the reason why they lost income. So I personally say don't do that.
I was just going to say, most often, like the companies and stuff, they get on those, like they have big teams looking at things, looking at your YouTube, whatever. So it kind of, but that is a really good point to look out for people, because you can get yourself caught up in like just from your emotions of it by thinking that you're doing like the right thing. Now all of a sudden you got caught up in something legal, and we don't want that for anybody.
I mean, I think it's just a good idea to, especially with the next one, swatting and taking things, real world, so to speak, like you're or like doing wellness checks or wellness calls or whatever, like looking at you, Janet. But with that, it's so like, it's so inappropriate. And I understand that this is a very privileged mindset for me to have, not only as a public figure, but as a white queer woman in a hetero-facing relationship, right? I do think that sometimes you just need to stop, take a breath, like I said, take a beat, take a moment, and think, is this actually affecting my life? But and I don't want to like have like everyone think that, because of course then no one's going to be held accountable. So like obviously, but before, just think before you go be fucking crazy.
Yeah, and get yourself into trouble, right? Because some people can get so hyper focused on it and right, absolutely, and just laser focused on it, and then that just like manifests into a rage, and where it does start to actually affect your life, and you're getting yourself in trouble, like, yeah, going real world or whatever, and the death threats, and you just kind of have to, what would it be like, put your oxygen mask on first, like, do a mental check-in, like, am I okay? I'm allowed to be upset, I'm allowed to be hurt, I'm allowed to be let down, but how much am I going to let this like really affect like my mental state and my safety or somebody else's
I mean, I've
safety,
never
right?
been canceled. I've been held accountable and educated. There are obviously people who don't like me, don't accept, an apology I actually made recently after very kindly being, presented feedback and being educated. And with that, it's like there are people who, like, no matter what, I mean, people no matter what they just don't like you. And again, that's okay. There are people that I don't fucking like just because the shape of their mouth. Like it doesn't matter.
The accountability, I do like that, because we've had that conversation too, where there are ways to, I don't want to say like gently, like not being like, oh, coddle us or whatever, but to give feedback and to give opinions and be like, hey, you might have not noticed this, but this hurts people. We talked about this, I think, in the first episode that never launched, or the podcast that I tried. But through learning this, you learn that maybe some actions that you didn't even think twice about are harmful. And we talked about me following. It wasn't Michelle Phan. What's her name? It's like her sister-in-law, maybe, Promise. She used to do like crazy makeup transformations and like make herself look like Taylor Swift. Or did you ever see her? She can literally make herself look like anybody. And so I used to just like follow her makeup tutorials, because I'm like, oh my God, like, can I fucking look like Angelina Jolie?
Sherrilyn, were you doing blackface? Sherrilyn, were you doing
We talked about this.
blackface?
I
You did
did.
blackface, didn't you?
I turned myself into Lil Wayne. I didn't go out in public or whatever, but I'm like, I turned myself into everybody that she did, but one of them was Lil Wayne. Okay, and let's be fair, I didn't go out and grab like the darkest shade. It was like bronzer that I had in my kit, but that is how I learned that. I'm like, oh wow, like, why am I fucking making myself look like Lil Wayne? Granted, I made myself look like, Taylor Swift and Angelina Jolie and all of these things.
Yeah, but that's also, again, as a white woman, who the fuck am I to say this? But like that's art. Like that's like working with like lights and shadows and all that.
But it was like through that where, through talking about the history, yeah, and actually like learning. There's even like a line in White Christmas about like a minstrel show, and I had no idea what that was, and then learning about what that was and how it was like the blackface, and then making fun of black people through like white people fucking acting like them, and they were always like the butt of the joke, like that's disgusting. And yes, like, it was art, but that made me reflect and be like, oh, probably shouldn't have touched Lil Wayne, but and stuck with Barbie. But it made that made me think about it. Fuck.
Well, that's it, folks. We've made it 3 episodes and now we're canceled.
So I'm so sorry. The point of what I was talking about was, I do think that these situations are good for even anybody to reflect on themselves. This was something I did like prior to anybody being someone, just like at home on a Friday, and that's how I like to express myself. Beauty, like not beauty, but just like doing makeup all the time.
Take everything in, educate yourself, and take accountability, and take account of what you are saying, why you are saying that. Is it offensive? If someone's saying, hey, what you're saying is racist, don't go ask a bunch of whiteys.
I've seen quite a few commentary creators even talk about that, of saying like, I've given, like some time, because right now this is not my place to have the commentary at all, right? And I agree with that. And I think that that is something that we have learned in the recent years to definitely do and support and reshare, like where you can, and comment. To recap, we have disappeared, but we want to finish this episode on A, don't talk to minors. B, don't be racist. C, don't talk about politics as a public figure. I feel like we did quite a bit in this one, but
Well, yeah, but also it's like I said, I'm not demonizing you whether you vote for whoever or whatever the fuck. It's just, hey, don't be racist. Don't be also separation of church and state, assholes. Don't be racist, don't be homophobic, and don't be fucking weird. As a public figure, I feel like you shouldn't talk about like religion and politics and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird and that's what I think, and maybe that's my toxic trait.
I think that people need to understand the privilege that they have of even just having a voice and being a public figure and taking it seriously. You know damn well that what you say has an impact on people, whether it's positive or negative, and you have people looking up to you. So take it seriously and do what you can just to, be a better person, to encourage other people to be better people.
And that obviously doesn't mean to, make all of your content about all of these extremely divisive issues, because for a lot of people, that's not comfy.
Absolutely. Was this episode uncomfy?
It's very uncomfy. Yeah, and then just don't be a shitty human, and also don't stay when I say don't stay silent, I mean don't like when you're being called out.
Yeah, like Cody Ko still hasn't spoken.
Exactly.
And that's icky. I think the reason why he's probably got legal recommendation to not say anything, because him saying something essentially is admitting.
Well, yeah, but the statute of limitations, statutory Stanley, but the statute of limitations is already up because it happened in Florida, but then also legally wise, like in the terms of like the courts, like they can't come after him, but then also if he admits to it, apparently he might not be able to get his citizenship, and he's been like working towards that for years, I guess.
Oh my gosh. I don't respect what he's doing at all.
No, I'm very disappointed in him. He sucks. It's sad.
He sucks. It's sad.
I've come to terms with it that anyone I like on the internet is gonna turn out to be a shitty person, basically, and that I just can't be. I need to manage my expectations with the people that I have parasocial relationships with.
That's fair. That's fair, babe. And nice. Nice to acknowledge that. And I think you've already said, just let's all take a moment to just prioritize our own mental health and feelings. Do not let somebody's horrible behavior and actions affect your day-to-day life and feelings, because they're not worth it at the end of the day. You can love somebody and support somebody, but at the end of the day, if you do not know that person personally, let them affect your life negatively, because you're better than that. And I think that's a good note to finish off on. Let us know how disappointed you are in us for allowing our phones to die and that you've only been listening to us the past 5 minutes. And then also please let us know if you'd like minisodes. Chelsea says you're getting it.
And you're gonna like it. No, I mean, obviously we want your feedback if you would like that or not. I mean, it would be more work for us, but those could be ones that are, just audio, and we could just like put assets up.
We can try it and then you guys let us know, ooh, didn't like that, want to see you guys, yada yada yada. Okay. I'm like looking at the camera as if you guys can see me. You can't because my phone is dead, but you can hear me. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Stay spicy.
No, that's not what we are.
Wrong channel, Sherrilyn.
Oh my God. What are you doing? Your butt looks good. Wait, no, wrong channel.
What? How do we sign off?
We appreciate you. We love you. Stay feral and be unhinged. And we will see you next Friday.
And we will see you when we see ya.
And we'll see you some other time. Okay, we gotta stop. Okay, bye.
Okay, goodbye.